Everyone knows the legend of the man whose wealth defied imagination, but no one tells you where those tons of gold actually went. Is it possible that millions of grams of precious metal simply vanished into thin air? Or is there a location deep within the desert still hiding the secret to this day? In the next few minutes, we're moving beyond the pages of mythology into the language of mathematics and maps to reveal what no one dares to say about the lost treasures of Qarun. They say history is written by the victors, but in today's story, history was written by the earth itself. The ground that split open to swallow the wealthiest man humanity has ever known. Alone required a team of 40 powerful men just to carry them. We're not talking about ordinary wealth. We're talking about a level of abundance that distorts reality. In ancient texts, these men were described as the mighty ones. Think about that. 40 giants, barely able to lift the keys. What then was hidden inside the vaults themselves? This gold wasn't just jewelry. It was raw power that made Qarun forget who he was. That time, the world was divided. Half the people looked at him with pure envy, whispering, "If only we had what he has." They saw the glitter, the surface, the illusion. But the other half, the wise ones, saw the danger. They warned him, "Do not exult in your pride." They weren't telling him not to enjoy his wealth. They were telling him not to let the wealth own him. They told him to use his power for the good of others, just as the universe had provided for him. Do you know what his response was? With total arrogance, he said, "I have been given this only because of the knowledge I possess." In his mind, there was no divine favor, no luck, no help. It was all his brilliance, his strategy, his effort. That was the exact moment the death warrant of his empire was signed. When a human attributes the gifts of the universe solely to themselves, the explosion is inevitable. Picture the scene. Qarun decided to march through the city in his full splendor. This wasn't just a fancy suit. It was a legendary procession that stopped the world. Horses draped in gold, servants in silk, and Qarun at the center, walking like a god among men. At that moment, he reached the peak of ecstasy. He looked down at the masses as if to say, "I am above, and you are beneath." He didn't know that the very ground carrying his parade was only waiting for the command to consume him. Suddenly, in the middle of the display, the sounds died out. The wind stopped. The horses began to panic. The gold started to vibrate. A deep, terrifying hum emerged from the bowels of the earth, a resonance frequency that felt like the world was screaming. Qarun thought it was a minor tremor at first, but terror filled his eyes as cracks began to appear specifically under his feet. The crowds fled. The servants dropped the keys. Qarun stood alone amidst his treasures, and then the earth shattered. It didn't open to reveal a treasure, it opened to claim the owner of the treasure. The palace collapsed piece by piece. The gold he was so proud of became the dead weight that pulled him down into the abyss. He screamed for the knowledge he claimed to have. He called for the intelligence he boasted about. But there was no answer. The command was absolute. We caused the earth to swallow him and his dwelling. Think about that phrase. And his dwelling. Everything was erased. The palace, the gold, the keys. Even the memory of his arrogance was buried under the sand. Within moments, the legendary procession was gone. The silence returned. The only thing left was the sound of the wind playing with the dust that now covered his empire. The next day, those who had envied him woke up to the shocking news. They stood before the deep void that had consumed everything and said in realization, "It is the universe that grants abundance to whom it wills." They understood then that true power isn't in the gold or the knowledge you have. It's in the connection to the source that gave you the gold in the first place. The end of Qarun wasn't just a story, it's a living message for anyone who thinks their success is solely their own doing. It says, enjoy the abundance, but do not let it blind you. Qarun is gone, but his treasures remain buried in the memory of history as the ultimate lesson in humility. The lesson is clear. If you build your palace on pride, the earth is always waiting for the right moment to reclaim its space. As we close the chapter on the wealthiest man in history, ask yourself, is your true treasure in your pocket or in your soul?